All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Stephanie, and happy to connect with everyone again, and excited to share some design progress with you guys. So, as Stephanie mentioned, I prepared two design concepts for us to look at and discuss, but I want to just put it out there at the beginning that these are just two preliminary concepts, kind of rough drafts, by no means final designs, and by no means do we have to choose either option one or option two. These are kind of just two potential directions we can go in terms of the skate park design or wheel friendly area design. So yeah, think of them more like discussion tools and less like final designs. So just want to put that out there to begin with. So next I want to, if I can move forward, kind of walk you guys through some kind of very early sketches. This is kind of the first step in the process to kind of just play with the site, understand the site, the shape, the topography, kind of the flow of things. So this site, if you know the site, you know it's a giant hillside, and there's a lot of topography and grade change for the skate park design to contend with. So that was definitely a challenge to work through that. But obviously, you know, a flat skate park isn't very fun, so we want some grade change. So we can use it to our advantage to create the terrain. So yeah, a few things I want to highlight in terms of the overall kind of high level, you know, layout of the space. So let me see if I can get my, I don't have a pen. Okay, I'll just use my mouse. Hopefully you guys can see the mouse. Yeah, so from top to bottom, we're at the highest elevation here. We're at 86. And then at the lowest elevation in kind of the skate park or wheel sports area footprint is 72. So from top to bottom, there's 14 feet of grade change, basically a 14-foot drop. So you imagine how big that is. It's a lot. So, oh, maybe I can use this. Oh, cool. Okay, so knowing that and knowing that's a little too much grade change, we want to minimize the impact of that 14-foot drop. So rather than a shape that goes this way and takes on the full brunt of that elevation change, we actually want to go this way and kind of stay within these lines here, these darker lines here. So we're kind of more in that 82 to 76 range. So we're only dealing with 6 foot of drop. That way that's manageable and we can work with that and it's not the full 14 feet. So that's definitely a major factor of this site that I wanted to highlight. So beyond that, I kind of want to cover what's known about this site, what's known about the design, and then we can talk about what's not known, what's still up for change. So one thing that's definitely known is the grade change. So we're going to be sloping this way from northeast to southwest. So that's known. So no matter what we do, we're going to be sloping this way, and no matter what we do, we're going to be dropping from top to bottom about 6-7 feet. And that obviously impacts the flow. So generally speaking, we're going to have a flow that kind of falls this way as well. The shape is kind of known. So again, we want kind of a shape that fits within these lines. I opted away from kind of a boring rectangle, went with something a little bit more curvy, which naturally kind of evolved into an avocado type shape, which I like as kind of a subtle nod to the area. It's not too on the nose or kind of corny in terms of, you know, representing the avocado heritage in Fallbrook. So I like that as kind of a subtle nod to the area. So that's kind of known. We know we kind of want a shape that's kind of roughly like this. The square footage is known. So we obviously have a set budget, and that dictates how big we can go with the skate park. So with this site, we have plenty of space, but the budget is more of the limiting factor. So this is roughly how much skate park we can afford with the budget. Next thing that's known is the entrance. So we got this pathway that goes all the way through the park, and we're going to connect at some point along this pathway into the skate park. So we know we're going to have kind of an entry point here on the east side. So that's known as well. And then lastly, what's known is the location of the bowl. So this, again, is the highest point of the site. So just based on drainage, we know we can have different transition elements throughout the skate park, but if we do any kind of deep bowl, intermediate, or advanced bowl, it's going to need to be at the top of the site here, just based on topography and drainage. So those are kind of the things that are known. So kind of want to just highlight that. Then we can look at these initial concepts, and then we can discuss, okay, all that's known, that's kind of defined, but the interior of the skate park, that's up for discussion. So just flip through a few more sketches, and then we will go to the two options. So I prepared two options. They each have street and transition elements, but one is more street focused and the other is more transition focused. So option one is the more street focused concept. And if you remember, street is basically recreating an urban plaza. So urban architecture. So something you'd find in like downtown San Diego with steps and benches and planters and rails and things like that. So this is the more street focused concept. So I'll kind of quickly walk you through it. So we enter here from that access pathway on the east side. And then here we have an elevated section. And then we have kind of an intermediate bowl at the 5 to 7 foot elevation. And then we have these kind of amphitheater style steps that wrap all the way around this north end of the skate park, kind of retaining that hillside. But obviously retaining walls are boring. We want to do skatable walls and skatable features that retain the hillside. So basically you can see with these amphitheater steps and the subsequent embankments and steps down here and different drops, we are working with the grade change. So as the site naturally falls this way, the skate park falls as well. So you can see we're working with the grades that way. So yeah, amphitheater steps kind of wrap around. You got kind of a beginner street section here with kind of a mani pad, flat bar, curved ledge, a little quarter pipe here, so you can kind of stay within this area if you want. And what's also cool about the amphitheater steps is they're obviously skatable, but also really great for seating and spectator seating. So one of the things that really struck me about this site when I first visited is just, the view, looking out over this whole site. There's such great views of the overall park and of Fallbrook in general. So I really love the idea of spectators just being able to hang out and watch the action on these amphitheater steps. So again, these amphitheater steps kind of wrap around. Then we have some drops. So there's a little handrail here, a little mani pad here, another little mani pad here where the step kind of comes out with a curve. Then we get down to this lower area, and there's a few different elements going down another drop. So we got a hubba ledge, step up gap, handrail, kind of a double set here, a couple more handrails here. And then at the bottom of the site, we got a really nice, wide open, really wide pyramid hip. So nice pyramid hip here. You can hit it from this side, and it's just a good obstacle to continue flowing through the space, continue your flow, or you can end your run, going from top to bottom. You can end your run here, hang out for a second, catch your breath, and then start over and go back up to the top. So I'll show you a few more views of that. So again, this is option one, the more street focused concept. Few different views of that. So yeah, just to summarize again, so kind of elevated section here with the steps that wrap around, got a little bit of spectator seating here, and we would look to add some kind of shade structure, shade canopy here, so you have shade while you're sitting hanging out. And then a couple drops again. So as the site is dropping, the skate park terrain is dropping, and then the pyramid hip here at the bottom. All right, just a few more views of that. All right, so that's option one, and now this is option two. Option two is the more transition focused concept, and if you remember, transition is basically the opposite of street. So instead of linear and angular, transition is curvy and curvilinear, and we're basically trying to recreate that empty backyard swimming pool feel with different bowls, pools, ramps, more curvy elements. So this is the transition focused concept. It does have a few street elements, but it's definitely leaning more towards the transition type of terrain. So again, the entry on the east side is kind of defined and known. We know that's going to be our entry point no matter what the design looks like. And similar to the first concept, we know we're going to be dropping as the grade falls, the skate park trend is going to be falling too. So we start at kind of the high point of the site, and we drop down, and we drop down again, get down to our lower point. So with this concept, as you enter, there's some nice kind of amphitheater seating and skatable steps here as well, just not as much of it. It doesn't wrap all the way around, but a nice place to kind of hang out and watch both the bowl itself and kind of the overall skate park. We got a bigger bowl here. So this would be 7.5 to 10. So a little bit more getting towards that advanced side of the spectrum. With pool coping, tile, all that good stuff. And then we have kind of a more beginner friendly transition section here, where it's kind of more in that 3-4 foot range. So if this is, 7 to 10 feet, if that's too much for you, you can definitely have a ton of fun over here in the kind of more beginner friendly transition section. We're in that kind of 3 to 4 foot section. So this is really cool and fun, where you got quarter pipe wall, kind of opposing quarter pipe wall that wraps around this integrated landscaping area. So you can kind of just, pinball your way through here, and there's different waterfalls and hips and pockets and all kind of fun stuff wrapping around here. So this is kind of your beginner transition section. Then we have a couple of drops throughout with different street elements. So not a ton of street elements, but a good amount to still have it be somewhat balanced. So we got a handrail here, we got a hubba ledge with a bump to ledge here, another handrail and bump to rail here, and then a slanted mani pad here. And then we got some more transition that wraps around this kind of landscaping area here, which kind of breaks up which is nice because it breaks up the monotony of just the concrete and adds some nice green space and life into the skate park, which can be nice. So that is the transition focus concept. This is kind of a plan view. I'll show you a few more views of that. So here you can get a really good angle of kind of that more beginner friendly transition section here. A lot of different fun angles and lines and hips and whatnot. And I think one more angle here. So yeah, you can see we kind of work our way down from the top of the site to the bottom of the site with different drops and ramps and things like that. All right, so those are the two concepts, again, very preliminary. But we do want to know which concept you're feeling. And again, we don't have to choose one or the other necessarily to move forward with. Basically going to get your input here tonight, and then either refine both concepts or mash them together, or move forward in one direction. But the goal is to continue refining and to continue gathering input and get to a really nice final design. So with that said, the first question is, which concept design do you prefer? Since there's not that many of us, we could probably just talk it out, but hopefully this works. So the way you can respond is a couple ways. You can go on your web browser to polev.com/spawnranch. Where'd my highlighter go? Oh, it's not showing up. Hopefully you can see my mouse. So yeah, go to polev.com/spawnranch on your web browser, and that can be on your desktop or your phone, either one. Alternatively, you can use your smartphone. You can text Spawn Ranch to 22333, and that will allow you to start responding to the different poll questions. So we're going to have about 5 or 6 different poll questions. And then if neither of those work, you can send Stephanie a chat. And then we can also just, at the end, we'll open it up for group discussion. If you didn't have a chance to respond to the poll, we can do it the old-fashioned way as well. So we'll give it a second for folks to respond. All right. Unclear if only one person responded or everyone is like an option 2. I'll know once I get all the data at the end, but I guess I don't know. I only know the percentages, so I don't actually know. I could probably log in the back end, but okay, we'll give it another 30 seconds. All right, cool. Well, we can always come back to it, like I said, or discuss this a different way. All right, so the next question is regarding option 1. So we're going to discuss option 1 quick. And the question is, if you preferred option 1, why did you prefer it over option 2? Since no one preferred option 1, or as far as we can tell, maybe we can skip through this, but we'll give it a second. And again, you're going to respond the same way, either through your web browser, pullev.com/spawnranch, or by texting spawnranch to 22333. Okay, these questions were regarding option 1, so we'll just skip that and go to option 2. So the next question is, if you preferred option 2, why did you prefer it over option 1? So this person said they liked the vert portion, also like the beginner transition section. Yep. Someone said they liked the flow. More skatable surfaces. It's more challenging. Cool. And at the end, you know, we can open it up for more open comment. You guys can expand on any of these comments as well. All right, this person said they prefer the transition focused option, good flow, want to see some additional street and more spectator seating incorporated. So yeah, I think those are good comments. Uses the grade change well. Yeah, the grading definitely a challenge, but I think will ultimately result in a really fun and flowy skate park. All right, we'll give it a little bit more on this question. 10 seconds or so if you want to get in one more comment. All right, next question. How could option 2 be improved? So even if you like option 2, obviously this is still just a rough draft, early concept. So any thoughts on how option 2 could be improved, or any tweaks you could make if you could make them? More street, okay, yep. Shade, yeah, definitely. So that's definitely a priority to incorporate a shaded spectator seating area. And something that's been on our mind, just didn't make it into these initial drafts. More usable by scooters and bikes, okay. Shade, yep, so someone's seconding the shade comment. Looks like someone's seconding the adding of more street elements, including some stairs. Yeah, yeah, stairs are definitely a staple street element. A little tricky because they can block flow a bit if they're not very strategically integrated in the design, but obviously very fun. So can definitely look at doing that. possibly incorporate a half avocado as a hip. A little bit more. Yeah, I think that's doable. Yeah, I think I got a spot or two in mind where we could do something like that. Okay, all good comments so far. We'll give it another 10, 15 seconds. Any final comments on how option 2 could be improved? All right, with that, we will go to the last polling question. And this is kind of a bit redundant because we are going to open it up for just questions by voice or video, however you want to do it at the end. But if you want to submit a written comment or question, you can do it here. You can do it via chat, or you can do it when we start to wrap up. So a couple different ways for you to provide input. So we'll leave this up for a second. Okay, well, we can come back to that via one of the multiple methods we're looking at. But before we open it up, I just want to give a quick overview of kind of the next steps. So this evening is focus group meeting number 2, where we're presenting some initial design concepts. From here, we're going to take all of your input from this evening and start to work on revising the design. So it's looking like option 2 is preferred. So we'll likely head in that direction and look to incorporate your comments from this evening as we tweak and refine and improve the design and work towards a final design. Once we finalize conceptual design, then we move into creating the construction blueprints. And that's where we do all the technical design, engineering, all that fun stuff. Then is the bidding process, and then construction. And once construction's over, then we can do the fun part, which is ribbon cutting, grand opening, all that fun stuff. All right, so with that, I will wrap up and hand it back to you, Stephanie, to field some questions. So yeah, thank you, everyone. And let me know if you have any comments or questions.
Okay, thanks, Vince. It's really cool to see your process there and the steps along the way. And we're really looking forward to some really good input. You guys already had some great feedback right now, but we'll also have an online survey that I'll circulate. It'll have the same questions that Vince asked in the poll, but I know there are a lot of folks that aren't here tonight that probably want to weigh in, so you can share that survey. There's a mini intro that explains the 2 options. But we'll also post this video. We won't be able to post it until tomorrow, but we'll also post this on the project webpage so that folks can watch it if they weren't able to make it tonight, and then take the survey and provide feedback, since Vince does a much better job than I did in my little tiny intro, walking through all the decision making and kind of what the 2 options represent. So all right, so I'll send that out. I'll send it via email. All of you are on my my listserv, so I'll send out that survey after the meeting so you can share it with everybody. And then we're going to share it with the students at Potter Junior High too. They participated in the last one as part of a class, so we'll share it with them too. It's all skaters who took it, but they were really excited about it. Nice. Okay, all right. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'll just open it up. All of you, you're able to unmute yourselves if you'd like to chime in, or if you have a question, or if there's anything you'd like to share. Sean raised his hand. Okay, go for it, Sean.
Hey, everybody. Nice to see the presentation. Vince, you did a great job. This is Sean with FSI, by the way. I'm not sure who's on the call really, but for those that don't know. But no, great job overall. I think not to speak all for FSI, but it looks like we're probably leaning towards a number 2 for our preference, but with some modifications as we all chimed in. One quick question: how much skatable surface is there in these 2 layouts?
Yeah, there's about 12,000 square feet of skatable hardscape. And then there are two landscaped areas within the footprint that are about 1,000 square feet each. So the total footprint of the skate park's about 14,000. But if you subtract that 2,000 for those green spaces, we're looking at about 12,000 square feet of actual skatable hardscape. And then obviously we have the fence going around it with the landscape buffer zone as well.
Yep, cool. I know a lot of people mentioned shade in the comments. Just for clarification, Stephanie, are the shade structures and those type things budgeted against the skate park budget or the overall park budget?
So we have funds budgeted for shade in the overall park, and I think we could make a case for shade. We can try and use our other park funds for shade in the skate park so that we can put as much of the allocated skate budget towards skatable features. I think that's what we would try to do. Same
Awesome.
thing for any landscape, like if there are rocks or trees, I think we could try to make a case for using the other funding for that as well. It gets a little bit tricky, but I think that's what we'll try to do so that we can maximize whatever we have.
Yep, that's great.
That's our hope too. So
Good deal. And so the basic design of the 12,000 was based on the current budget that we have for basically hard surface skatable structure, or is there any way to increase that at all?
we can look and see what, so I think what we have is around 600,000. It's a little bit under that. It's like 582,000, and that includes the donation from FSI. If it would be the type of thing where if other parts of the park, if we have extra funding, maybe we can sneak it over to the skate park, but it just kind of depends. And we don't have a cost estimate for the entire park yet. We'll probably have that towards the end of May. So that'll give us a much better picture of what we're looking at and what we have to work with. We also have a lot of grants out there still. So if we got them all, that would help us out. Some like the urban greening grant is specific to just like green infrastructure types of things. But if we get it, then that means maybe we have to use less of our overall funding for that, and we could maybe use it for some other stuff. So
awesome.
Fingers crossed.
No doubt. Now, two other questions just stemming off of that one, and then maybe we can focus it back on skate comments. But one, is there an opportunity for fundraising for additional monies for the skate park, and what would the timeline be for that? And then number two, it appears whether we go bigger now or potentially later, it looks as though Vince has done a really good job in space allocation where there's room for growth in the future potentially. Is that right?
I would say so, yeah. Right now, as I mentioned, the budget is a limiting factor. We got more space to work with, where if the budget increased or if we want to look at doing a phase 2 down the line, I definitely see the potential for that.
Cool. Just kind of things that I wanted to put out there is kind of in the back of the head of everyone involved when we're looking at overall design, and then also how we could raise more monies as well. So perfect there. One comment that I did have, maybe down towards the bottom, the low elevation. What's your idea? What's the overall vertical height of that wall at the bottom? Just curious.
At the bottom, it varies. It kind of starts high and then slopes down as we transition to this section. But at its highest point, it's about 6 foot. And the goal with that was, the site drops, from top to bottom. But we don't, if you've ever skated a downhill skate park, they're not very fun because you get to the bottom and you're stuck. So
right, unless we have an escalator, right?
Yeah, so the goal was to create a decent amount of height at the bottom of the skate park so you can work your way back up or generate enough speed to get back up to the top, or at least to the middle where you can continue flowing versus just being constantly, sent to the bottom.
No, that's great. No, actually, that's what I was looking for on that. So
yeah,
sounds good. I'll let anyone else that wants to chime in for a little bit.
Hey, Vince, this is Kevin Spencer with FSI. Great job on both concepts, number 1 and number 2. I think we're all in favor at this point in number 2, just based on the initial voting results.
Mm-hmm.
One question I had for you is, I'm assuming that because this recorded video will be made public by tomorrow, according to Stephanie, can we post any of these concept drawings on our social media platforms as early as this evening?
I will defer to Stephanie, but I personally don't have a problem with it.
They're included in the survey. So you'll see when you click on the link to the survey, there's a little video that has both of the concepts. It's just one of the images though. So I don't know if we can, I have the other images. If you're okay with it, Vince, I could share those with them so they could post more than just the 2 stills that I have.
Yeah, so I can send out all the renderings in JPEG format. So Stephanie, I think I sent you one JPEG for each, kind of this main view, but I can send you all the JPEGs because I think you have this PowerPoint, but not all the individual JPEGs, correct?
Right, that would be great. I could always kind of like take screenshots, but that'll probably be better quality for them.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Awesome.
Kevin, just reach out to me. I think you have my email. If you just email me, then
Perfect.
I can just send them to you. I know you do the social media posting and stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great job on them, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Well, I know we have kind of a small group, so if there aren't any other comments, we can give folks a little bit more time to digest and see if anything else pops up. But then the next opportunity is really that survey. So if you go home, you go to sleep tonight, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I forgot to say this thing. Maybe give yourself till tomorrow, and then you can fill out the survey and add any additional comments that you want to. And then you
Stephanie,
can always,
I have a question.
Go ahead, David.
In addition to the skateboarders on there, was it ever intended to allow like bicycles and or scooters to go on in the park?
Mm-hmm. As we've communicated, it's an all-wheel park, so it's
Okay,
intended for all of, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep,
That's-
good question though.
Yeah, that's awesome. It looks very all-wheel friendly.
Well, I'm a little old for that, so it doesn't look that friendly to me.
You can sit and watch. You can sit and watch.
There you go.
One thing I did have,
73-year-olds don't go on that.
one
Go
other
ahead,
comment.
Sean.
Yeah, thanks. Deb. One other comment I had was, if we are going to keep it in this footprint, if we either can't squeeze any more budget or look to do a phase 2, my thought would be I totally love spectators and I want to encourage all of that, but I'd rather not take away from skatable space. So I know that we've got in the original overall park design concept, I just on memory, I think it was option or bullet point 12 was event spectator seating that was outside of the skate park itself. So I wonder if we just kind of keep that in the back of our mind as well, if we can either put it on the outsides even further, maybe into the lawn sections where there's anticipation of, if there is a phase B, some stadium seating might get knocked down or something like that. Just being conscious of absolutely maximizing our utilization. Second, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say that's a good point. And what we typically try to do with spectator seating is make it dual use. So it's spectator seating, but it's also can be skatable. So that's what we try to do when possible. So that's one thing I want to mention. And then 2, yeah, just in general, we want to focus as many of the dollars on skatable square footage as possible. So I think we're all on the same page about that. I'm not sure about incorporating seating outside of the fence, just because that's a little awkward to have to watch through a fence. But we have kind of, as you can see, the landscape buffer zone basically between the skate park and the fence all the way around. So we can look at kind of increasing the hardscape in some of those sections to add some seating without being, you know, right in the middle of the skate park.
Perfect. You're on target of what I was saying. Just a sideline question on your PowerPoint images. Are all of them based on the concept here? Like there was a pool image, I think, on the last slide. Was that based on this design as well?
No, that's just an image.
Kind of a place marker.
Yeah, precedent image from a project we designed and built in Lancaster, California.
Okay.
But so it's not. This is not the exact bowl we're proposing here, but it's similar in terms of it's kind of. It's got the pool coping, tile, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, that looks like it's got a really good flow. I haven't been up to Lancaster, but I just wasn't sure if all of the images in the PowerPoint were focused on that, on this design, or if they were just place markers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if we don't have any more comments, then I think we'll let everyone go. And oh, do you guys know Chuck McLaughlin? Is he from FSI?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I'll let him in, see if he has any. Hi, Chuck. We're just getting ready to wrap up, so I'm glad we caught you. Welcome in. we just finished up the presentation. If you missed it, that's okay. We recorded it, so you can take a peek later. Vince kind of walked through the two concepts, and then we've had some good dialogue about improvements or questions about the budget and that kind of thing. So we're going to post this video tomorrow on the project webpage, so you can look at it. And then we have an online survey circulating too, but I don't know if there's anything you want to jump in and share. Sorry, we were just about to close the meeting. Okay, well, I might leave it.
So sorry, I'm good.
Okay.
The one time I hit traffic.
Oh, I know. It's
last
really
year and a half.
It's picking up again. It's definitely picking up.
Yeah, it is.
Well, no worries at all. You're covered. We'll have this. You can check out Vince's presentation tomorrow, and then we'll have the survey where you can provide feedback. But thanks for making it. I know it's stressful driving in the 5 o'clock time zone.
All right, thank you guys. I'll get an update from FSI. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.
All right, thanks everybody. All right,
Thank you so much.
We're looking forward
See you
to
later.
hearing from you. Thanks,
Great
everyone.
job, guys. Super
Good
stoked.
job.
Yay! Yeah, we
Thank
are
you.
too. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome,
Good job.
guys. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys. Take care.
All right, you
Bye.
too. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.